Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes, and we're here to present you our NFL Week 5 wide receiver picks. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This week I'll watch all my NFL, NBA, and MLB videos. And if you haven't already, go check out our new website at www.dfscheatsheet.com. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, everything that you need. So make sure and check it out for sure. www.dfscheatsheet.com. And hey, how you doing out there, Jeremy?
Good, man. I'm tired this week. Watched a lot of film. Finally got an opportunity. We're a little bit behind with our videos because of it, so apologize to everybody, but we'll get these things knocked out.
Yeah, definitely. So before we get into this video, hey, we just released yesterday our NBA pre-order special on our site. $200 gets you NBA every single day, Monday through Saturday with us. You get a main slate, cash lineup for FanDuel and DraftKings. Yesterday, since we released our package, we decided to do a little preseason. We actually took down every single entry last night on DraftKings, NBA, main slate. Go check out the results on our website, or you can check them out on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at RotoBeast. Yeah, hey, already starting hot on NBA, and we've only been a couple days into preseason. It's our absolute best sport. We're going to make tons of money. Go take advantage and get that NBA pre-order special now on our site. So, I mean, I'm ready to get into this this wide receiver video. You ready to go, Jeremy?
Yeah, and then one other thing too, we're going to launch a bundle membership that will get you NFL and the NBA luxury box package, which be on the lookout for that. It'll be at a super discounted rate for both of them. We'll launch that in the next couple of days.
Yeah, definitely. So you'll get the season-long package for the rest of the NFL, which is, 3-4 still there. We're only, through 4 weeks. And you'll get our NBA package every single day. You get lineups Monday through Saturday. So, yeah, man, win some money with us. Join the money team. And, yeah, let's get into this wide receiver pick. So, I'm going to start out first with I think, honestly, are the most obvious picks of the week at wide receiver. It's going to be Antonio Brown and Juju Smith. I think both of these guys are really, really good plays. You got Antonio Brown at 9,000, Juju Smith at 8,000 on FanDuel. I mean, these guys are just in the game that is the highest implied total by far. This game is way, way up there. There's going to be a ton of points scored on both sides of this game. It's going to be, like I said, a lot of throws. These guys, they're second and third in the league in targets. You got Antonio Brown with 51 targets. You got Juju Smith-Schuster with 49 targets, only 3 less than Antonio Brown. And the guy's 1,000 less. That's something that you may want to think about when debating on which one to go with. Like I said, I just think that this is an easy play. Both of these guys are getting tons of targets. I like them. I really don't have much else to say about them. It's just they're obvious. What do you got? Anything else? What do you think about these guys?
The thing that absolutely blows my mind here is Antonio Brown's price is 100% based off of his name being Antonio Brown. Juju Smith-Schuster has outperformed him almost in every single statistical category so far this season, other than targets. I believe Antonio Brown has 53 targets and Juju Smith-Schuster has 49. However, from a reception standpoint and from a total production standpoint, the only thing that Juju trails Antonio Brown is targets by 4 and touchdowns. 416 yards receiving for Juju, 31 receptions, which is 2 more than Antonio Brown has. He's $1,000 cheaper. To me, it's really weird this week because there's a couple of guys that I feel are cash game safe and where the more expensive, bigger name is actually the tournament play. I think for cash games, Juju Smith has a better floor than Antonio Brown does. Double-digit targets in 3 or 4 weeks. The only week he doesn't get double-digit targets is week 1 against Cleveland, where he gets 5 receptions on those 8 for 119 yards. I like that Juju didn't score a touchdown last week, and he kind of had a lackluster 4 receptions for 60 yards. I think he goes way, way underlooked this week, and Antonio Brown is the guy in the big spot that gets a lot of the attention. But to me, I would play Juju in cash and Antonio in tournaments, but the ownership probably won't reflect that because of the name.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, I just looked it up quickly. So, average it out. They're both averaging 12 targets a game, double digits.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? So, who do you got for us first?
So the first guy I'm going to go with is Cooper Kupp. I absolutely love Cooper Kupp. First thing that I want to point out, $6,700. The guy's getting 12.21 targets per game. I'm sorry, 12. We haven't projected 12.21 points this week. 32 targets. It's 8 targets per game he's averaging. 28.5 is the implied total on that one. No Earl Thomas in that secondary with a broken leg. This is not the Legion of Boom it used to be. The great thing about Cooper Kupp is of his 4 touchdown receptions, and you can even pull up the numbers going back to last year. This guy's a red zone. He's a red zone monster. 2 touchdowns already in the red zone. He's the second leading targeted player, and he's the most targeted player in the red zone as far as wide receivers go. 10 total red zone targets already and 2 red zone touchdowns. 2 of his 4 touchdowns in the red zone. He has big play capability, just like you saw in the Thursday night game against Minnesota. And he's only $6,700. I don't know how long he stays in that mid-tier price range with the production he's putting up.
Yeah, no, I like Cooper Kupp. I think he's a great player. I like that Rams whole offense. To be honest, I love Gurley as well, running back. The thing about it is Seattle, they're not a very good defense at all. But at least they had Earl Thomas still. Their anchor, the guy pretty much beat our Cowboys single-handedly. We played them a couple weeks ago. Now he's gone. That defense is definitely deflated. I love those Rams, all together as a team. And I think Kupp, he's definitely a really, really good play. So I'm going to move on to my next pick, and I'm actually going to kind of group it a little bit, but we do have a lot that we need to wait on as far as injury news. I like Davante Adams, the Packers receiver, and I like Geronimo Allison. Although Allison's in concussion protocol. He didn't practice today. So I don't know if he's honestly going to play. If he does play, I mean, he's 5,700. He had 11 targets last week before he exited the third quarter. There's no Randall Cobb. We know that Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the ball. So if Allison plays, he's a good play. But I think Adams for sure is going to be out there. Cobb is not going to play, especially if Allison is out. Adams is averaging 11 targets a game. He has touchdowns in 3 of the past 4 games. This game is going to be a shootout against the Lions. I definitely think it's going to be very high scoring. So for me, I'm really going to be looking at Adams at an $8,000 price tag. The only problem with Adams is that he's the same price as Juju. So I think that Adams is probably a little bit more of a good pivot off of Juju for your tournaments. But I definitely think he's still safe for cash if you want to go with somebody a little bit lower owned and hope that Juju Smith busts on the week. But I definitely like those Green Bay receivers going against the Lions.
I think it's important to kind of point out that I don't think everybody that watches our videos understands completely what we're talking about when we're saying safe for cash and more of a tournament play. In this case, to kind of explain that, Juju is going to be the guy who receives the lion's share of ownership for sure, because he's the more popular play, and that alone makes him a really good cash game play because he's almost like borderline free square. Whereas when we're talking cash versus GPP, we're looking for a guy who has a very safe floor. And the reasons you listed, we don't know what's going on with Allison. To me, from a football side of things, usually when a guy doesn't participate on Wednesday, it's kind of starting to look like it's a bad sign for him to get cleared through the protocol because he has to be symptom-free before he can start the process. So today's Wednesday, not symptom-free, didn't participate. What you're looking for is by Friday to see if he's a limited participant. If he's a limited participant, he's gone far enough through protocol where he's probably going to be cleared to play for Sunday. So Friday will be the big day on him. But if he doesn't play, the floor on Adams is just as good as Juju's is, and he's equally safe. It's just from an ownership standpoint, you're going to probably get in tournaments, you're going to probably get Adams at a much more reduced ownership level than you are going to get Juju.
Oh, yeah. And it's not maybe, it's for sure. You know what I mean? Right. It's going to be – the ownership's going to be, really, really, really a lot lower on Adams. So who you got for us, man?
So last week I caught you off guard when I went with Derek Carr. Derek Carr, I'm big on this offense. I think I'm just big on John Gruden's offensive mind. But Amari Cooper has torched the Chargers in the past. He's had some monster games against the Chargers, and this offense is starting to get going. Put up 45 points last week against Cleveland. Amari Cooper, 6,500. We have him projected at 11.41 points. That's almost 2x. 30 targets, not a lot, but he did get 12 targets last week against Cleveland, right? So 7.5 targets, and at a $6,500 price point. He's got 270 receiving yards. The Raiders 24.3 is their implied total. It's the third highest on the slate. I really like this offense. I love Amari Cooper. This is probably more of a gut play for me, just on what he's done and kind of where he's trending and where his price fits. I think there's a lot of good receivers this week that are priced in the mid-tier range between 6,000 and 8,000. Amari Cooper is one of my favorite plays this week.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the guy. Like we actually talked about this. The Raiders and the Chargers, I think that's another game that's definitely going to be a high-scoring shootout. Amari Cooper, I mean, at 6,500, it's a ridiculous price. This guy is a guy who has as much upside, honestly, as Antonio Brown, as Julio Jones, as some of the best receivers. He's shown us that in the past. He has 2 touchdown upside. And I definitely think he's due for a big-time game. Like you said, he's had him in the past against the Chargers. It's a big-time rivalry. Yeah, I mean, I definitely could get on board with that Amari Cooper play at a very, very fair price tag. And we've seen this guy, last year pretty much hanging out in the mid-7,000s. That's the kind of player he is. So this is a good buy low opportunity for him. And the big game is coming. So definitely that's a great play right there with Amari Cooper. So for me, the next guy I'm going to go with, he's pretty much the same price as Cooper. He's $100 less. It's Corey Davis for the Tennessee Titans. The guy, him and Mariota, they have a really good connection. When they're on the field together, he tends to do well compared to when Mariota is not in there. He had a monster week last week, 15 targets, caught 9 of them for 161 yards and a touchdown. And then there was actually one more play that Mariota just missed him, overthrew him for like almost a 50-yard bomb. The guy would have cleared $200 200 yards on the week. So, I mean, the guy has some monster upside going against Buffalo. He's going to be low owned. We just seen Green Bay torch Buffalo. The receivers all had very good days. I understand that Mariota is not the same quarterback as Aaron Rodgers, but Mariota is a decent quarterback, and I don't think, like I said, Buffalo, they just suck. I mean, that's my honest opinion about them. Mariota threw for 344 yards last week. Yeah, I mean, I like Buffalo. I definitely think that, Mariota's getting back on track. And then, another thing, too, is Davis is averaging 10 targets a game on the season. So him and Mariota, I think that they're both going to have a solid week, and I'm going to go with Corey Davis for 6,400.
Yeah, I don't mind the play. I liked Corey Davis this past week. I just didn't get exposure to him because I probably, lack of a better term, I didn't trust my own research. I just didn't like the play against the Eagles, and I missed the boat. But for me, it feels like I'm chasing points to go plug him in, but we'll see what my research leads me with Davis at the end of the week. The next guy I'm going to go with, I wrote down 2 guys. You mentioned one of them already. To me, it's the same play. It's the same guy. I'm going to have exposure to him equally. I'll literally build one lineup and then just follow it up, build the exact same lineup and rotate, one of them out, put the other guy in. I'm going Julio Jones. I just think it's time. The guy hasn't found the end zone yet. Too many receiving yards for not finding the end zone. 502 receiving yards, 0 touchdowns, $8,800. We have him projected in the optimizer at 16.32 points, 46 targets. He's averaging 11.5 targets per game. They have an implied total of 27.3, the highest implied total on the week, 57.5. I think this game is absolutely going to just shoot out. I don't see any way that either one of these offenses go and get shut down by the other's defense or dud. There's going to be a lot of passing in this game. Both quarterbacks are obviously viable as well with all of the receiving targets we like. But this is it's time for Julio to get a touchdown. The kid's got all the love. He's getting all the touchdowns. Julio's getting just all the movement and production offensively through the air. 502 yards is going through Julio. Problem is he hasn't scored yet. I think this is the week that he gets at least one touchdown. I think he gets multiple touchdowns this week. I also think he gets a little bit overshadowed from an ownership standpoint to Antonio Brown because it's Antonio Brown. He's the sexier player right now, and Julio hasn't scored. That's why I like Julio really. All of the other things aside that make him a good play, he hasn't scored yet, and I think this is the week he just goes off with that 200-yard plus receiving game and multiple touchdowns.
Bro, so let's just keep it real. We don't have to beat around the bush. He's just getting the shit end of the stick. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? He's doing everything for the team. He's not getting his touchdowns. I definitely agree with you. I think he's gonna have a great week. I honestly gonna have to say I think he's probably gonna have a little bit better week than Antonio Brown, in my opinion. He's gonna get in the end zone for sure. I think at least one touchdown. I think it's a great play. I mean, I love all the receivers, in this game. And then what was the cheap guy that's been getting all the touchdowns for Atlanta? Ridley, I think he's a really good play as well. I definitely like you said, this game's going to be a shootout. It's going to go back and forth. I pretty much love all the receivers in this game.
This has gone on now. This is the third season. This is the third season where Julio's gotten a ton of production and he's not scoring. 2 years ago, it was Devontae Freeman. Last year, it was everybody but Julio. Sanu got love in the end zone. Austin Hooper got love in the end zone. Coleman and Freeman got love in the red zone, right? And Julio didn't. And then it seems like once or twice every year, Julio goes absolutely bonkers.
3 touchdown games.
This is the game. This is the week that I think the stars are aligned. No touchdowns, 502 yards, highest over-under of the week, second highest implied total. They haven't stopped anybody.
Yeah, my opinion, the only reason that, year after year this is happening to him, though, is because, he's getting double teamed. He's getting triple teamed. You know what I mean? So for him to score, he has to, break those 35-yarders. You know what I mean, though? And I think that's what kind of makes it tough for him to get in the end zone. But, hey, man, I actually have one more guy that I want to just quickly talk about. I know we both did our picks already, but I really like Adam Thielen a lot for the Vikings. The guy's going against the Eagles this week. I just talked about what Corey Davis did against the Eagles last week, and Corey Davis isn't nowhere near Adam Thielen. The guy's 8,300. He's probably going to be 5% owned. Nobody's going to be on him because he's right around the price range with Juju, with Adams, with some of the other plays. And the guy's just good. He's got 100 yards every single game receiving. He leads the league in targets with 58 targets. He leads his team with 5 red zone targets this season. And the cool thing I like about him too is he lines up all over the field. He lines up in the slot. He lines up, outside the numbers. He's not just like, oh, I have to get a big player, I'm not going to get anything. Or, oh, I have to, get 10 catches for me to get production. He does a little bit of everything. He's averaging 9 yards per catch this season. He's getting 41% of all his team's throws. And we know Kirk Cousins likes to throw, and he actually can throw the ball very good. So they have a good quarterback to throw to Thielen. He's got no less than 12 targets every single game, and he had as much as 19 targets, in week 3. So, he's getting the ball thrown at him a lot. So that was a guy I just really wanted to mention in this wide receiver video because I'm really high on Adam Thielen this week, for a very good matchup and a very fair price tag. He's going to be very low owned. That's all I really got for wide receiver. You got anything else for us?
I cannot agree with you any more than that, right? 56 targets, he's first. 40 receptions, he's second. He only has 2 receiving touchdowns, but this guy's a move the chains wide receiver. His worst game was really week 1. 6 receptions on 12 targets for 102 yards. He didn't score. He got 13.2 points. The thing is, what makes him such a great tournament play this week is he's the same price as Odell Beckham. He's more expensive than Stephon Diggs. He's more expensive than Keenan Allen. He's more expensive than Juju Smith-Schuster. And you can get, for $500 more, you get Julio Jones, right, in a more popular game. He's going to be really low owned. It's hard to justify just looking at the name if you're not doing the research, it's hard to justify spinning up and Adam Thielen being your number one wide receiver this week in that slot, especially with the other guys that are on the board. But from a production standpoint and looking at what Corey Davis just did, this makes all the sense in the world. It's a great tournament play. Couldn't agree with you any more than that. Before we get off, we have a couple of questions. Cody Mayfield wants to know, when playing GPP, how much chalk do you play? And then Emilio Padilla wants to know, what slates do we send lineups for Sunday? I'm assuming that question is tailored towards the luxury box package. If you want to hit that luxury box question, I'll take the GPP question.
Yeah, so every Sunday for our NFL Luxury Box special, which includes full access to our optimizer, and then I actually send out my cash line for main slate every Sunday for FanDuel and DraftKings. So it's every main slate, FanDuel and DraftKings. I send out my cash lineup, and then you can go ahead and get to that last question.
So in GPPs, you identifying the chalk is very important, right? You want to identify who the chalk guys are, and then you're trying to figure out if that chalk is a free square, meaning that the floor may not really be – the ceiling may not be there, but the floor may be there because of the opportunity. So you're trying to – that's what you're trying to determine, right? And there's sometimes where the guy's opportunity and his price are so fair that in tournaments you're going to play that chalk, or – the matchup is so obvious that the guy like a Julio Jones or Antonio Brown, they're going to be higher owned plays this week. You're going to load those guys up in your lineup because their upside is so big that if they do go off and you don't have them, you don't have a chance to take a tournament down. So you're not saying in GPPs, let's just build a lineup that's 100% contrarian. That's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to find the spots where your research tells you that you can be contrarian, or like I mentioned on the recap video, if you take a look, and we'll use wide receiver, right? We just mentioned Adam Thielen at 8,300, Antonio Brown's 9,000, and Julio Jones is 8,800. The best way to build tournament lineups is to build a lineup that you really like, and then look at guys who are the same price or very close within $100 to $200. Just take one guy out. So in this case, you build a lineup, you have Julio Jones, your number one wide receiver. You really like the lineup, build the exact same lineup, take Julio Jones out, put Antonio Brown in, or vice versa, right? Adam Thielen, $8,300. Make that your third lineup. Maybe you went with a defense that's $4,300. You go from Julio Jones down to Adam Thielen, $500 difference. You upgrade your defense, right? So that's how you start building these multiple lineups. So it's not so much about fading chalk or how much chalk I'm going to get exposure to. It's about figuring out where the best opportunity is and really trying to figure out who has the higher ceiling. Because in cash games, you're looking for a solid floor. You're looking for guys who are cogs in the wheel, who are going to get the guaranteed production. With GPPs, you're 100% looking for upside. The floor is not as important because you're not trying to beat 50% of the field. You're trying to beat 19% of the field, and you're trying to move up the leaderboard and take it down. And the only way you can do that is by having guys that are really low owned. Thielen is the perfect example of a tournament play because of where he's sandwiched. He's sandwiched between Juju Smith-Schuster at 8,000. He's sandwiched between Devontae Adams at 8,000, right? Those guys, Devontae Adams, that's another good play. We talked about chalk to not chalk, right? Build the same lineup, plug the chalk of Juju in, build one more lineup, take out Juju, put Devontae Adams in. You got two lineups. Whichever guy has the better game, obviously that's the better lineup. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, for me, just a kind of simplified question. Whenever we build our player pool and then we're about to run our 150 lineups and we mess with the exposure, I would generally say we probably play about – out of our 150 lineups, we probably play about 40 to 50% of chalk plays. This way, that kind of puts us in a fine line of if the chalk goes off, then we have the chalk in pretty much half of our lineups. You know what I mean? If the chalk doesn't go off, then half of the lineups are dead, but then we got these other half of the lineups that, are not there, are going to be going wild because they were without the chalk. So I definitely would honestly probably say we probably play about 40 to 50% of chalk plays, And then each lineup, you definitely want to get at least one or two, players that are going to be lower owned to kind of help you out getting up that leaderboard. So, I mean, hey, that's all I really got for wide receiver, Bo. You good? You got anything else?
No, let's get out, man. I'm good.
All right, so tomorrow we'll be back with our running back plays for week 5. Make sure and have those notifications turned on so you can check out that video as soon as we go live. And, hey, let's get some money this week, all right, guys? Go check out the site at dfscheatsheet.com. And, hey, peace out.